Hello again, everyone. I'm Tom Dirato. Welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. Finals are over, and it's time for 17th-ranked Oklahoma State to return to the court. The Cowboys, coming off their 6th straight win, travel to Oklahoma City on Sunday afternoon to take on San Diego State in the Myriad. OSU, a big winner over Texas San Antonio in its last outing, could equal the 8th best start in school history with a win over the Aztecs. Brian Montonati, a double-double just waiting to happen over these first 6 games, will join us on the set to talk about his impressive break from the gate, and we'll dip back into a vault of off-the-court features and pull one out that should really stir some fond memories. We have all this and a lot more for you, so stay with us. We're back after this opening timeout.
The Eddie Sutton Show is brought to you by Jeep and your...
Welcome back to the show, and you didn't tell me we were just going to wear sweats today.
You know, this is my 30th year as a Division I coach, and I've done 30 years of TV shows. This is the first time I've ever shown up with my workout gear, but we had a long workout because it was finals, and I didn't have time to change, although Brian Montonati, I let him out of practice a little early, and when he shows up, he'll probably be looking like something out of GQ. But anyway, this is the way I look when I'm on the practice court, right?
You're a working man. You mentioned finals week, always a tough week to have any continuity, any cohesion, and fortunately we didn't have to play this week.
Well, between Gallagher, Iowa construction and the finals week, it's been kind of a hectic 5 days, but we are through finals now. We play San Diego State Sunday afternoon, and you know, you never know how a team's going to respond when they come out of finals. I've had ball clubs that played lights out, and I've had ball clubs that really struggle, so we'll just have to wait and see. But next week we do have a few days before we play Alcorn and before we play our second road trip when we go to UNLV. So our ball club, I think, is just relieved to get through finals. That's an emotional and physical draining experience.
You know, we've been down this road for 10 years now, and this is the first time not only have you had to look for players and trying to find a time when everybody was there, but you've hopscotched around campus, been in Gallagher, been in the Collins Center. It's like a band of nobody wants you here. Just come in, here's a court, come practice.
Well, as I've said many times, it's all going to be worth it when we get that new arena constructed, but it does test your patience right now.
Well, you talk about coming off a big win, what the Cowboys did, beating Texas San Antonio in its last outing before the finals, and this was a great night for Brian Montonati, the guy who will be joining us here this week.
He had the 4th double-double, which really is amazing in the first 6 games, and we've said that he's probably the most improved player along with Frederick Janzine. And Frederick almost had a double-double. He had 10 points and 8 rebounds coming off the bench, and Glendon Alexander continued to come off the bench and do a great job for us. He had 18 points, which was second high. He and Desmond had 18, Brian had the 22. So it's a great team effort.
You don't put much stock, and you never overemphasize the starters, but it is nice considering the fact that they are not starting to have Alexander and Fred giving us 21 points plus off the bench.
Well, those two guys really have done an outstanding job, and you know, by all rights, they could be in the starting lineup, but you can only start 5 people, and there's some players that can come off the bench and do better than others, and those two guys have just been sensational in their play so far. There's a great tip in by Montonati. I think that's one of the things that allows him to be such a good rebounder. He's quick off his feet, he's got good hands, and he gets a lot of putbacks.
Coaches are never satisfied. They always want that perfect game, and I don't know if there is one out there, but you continue to strive for it. You want better defense consistently, correct? And you saw Glendon hitting that shot.
Well, that was great penetration by Gottlieb. Doug had 12 assists in the game. He kicked the ball off after breaking the defense down, but I think the defense is one thing that we did play better the last couple of games defensively, but we still have a ways to go if we're going to be the team that I think we can become.
Ooh, that's a nice move right there. Anytime he could take it down. And once again, you preached it. I saw the practice earlier today. That's exactly what you're talking about, getting that ball down there where you can do something with it.
Early in the year, we were too content to take perimeter shots and not give your offense an opportunity to see if you could get the ball down on the block or drive the basketball and get fouled and get to the line. And I think that's one area that our players better understand that we have to do it. There's another reason why Brian gets a lot of points. He can really run the floor, and with Atkins and Gottlieb, spearheading the transition game. Well, if he runs, they're going to get him the basketball.
Isn't that the truth, though, with all your big guys, for all intents and purposes? They can get from end to end in a hurry.
Well, that's one of the things we stress. You know, we're averaging 85 points a game, and that will certainly go down as the competition improves, but we want to try to get that ball at the defensive end and convert it into easy baskets by running the floor.
In the half court right here, and there's Brian shooting from yet another angle.
Well, he was 10 out of 15 from the field, 2 out of 2 at the line, and as we mentioned, 11 rebounds, 22 points in 27 minutes. That's quite a performance.
Active again, tipping one in off a Glendon miss, and you made mention earlier this week, Glendon's got the perfect mentality for a shooter. He'll take as many shots as he thinks he can hit, and if a couple don't go in, he'll keep firing.
Well, he probably is shooting the ball better than anyone right now, but there's a reason for that. I mean, he has a scorer's mentality, but he has really been working hard on his shooting. Every time he has a free moment, he's over there in the Colvin Center or somewhere with Coach Keller or one of our other coaches working on his shooting.
Well, you see the game ends there. Cowboys win it 87-66 and are now 6-0 on the year. As you put that one into perspective now, it's yet another building block in this schedule that hopefully takes us 30 games and beyond.
Well, it gets rougher from now on, and that's kind of the way we put this schedule together. We feel like that, you know, in another week to 10 days, this ball club ought to be at a point where they can play the UNLV on the road. They can play the University of Washington on the road. They can go to LSU in New Orleans and play in the Sugar Bowl. And then, of course, it's time to play Big 12 basketball. And, you know, the Big 12 overall, I think, has really improved this year. We've had some very prestigious wins. This past week, we had 2 or 3 teams maybe get beat that I thought they had a chance of winning. But overall, the Big 12 is going to be a great race, and it's going to be a race that I think all the fans in this geographical region are going to see some quality basketball.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize, especially during the non-conference portion of the season, it's best if everybody in the league wins, because at the end, that overall rating helps everybody.
I cheer for everybody in our conference and non-conference to play, because the other night, you know, it was hard. I had mixed emotions. The University of Oklahoma played my old Razorbacks, right. And I always like to see the Razorbacks win, but you really have to pull for OU and Texas and Kansas, because as they win, that helps that overall rating as far as our conference is concerned.
And I know you're happy with the start at 6-0. You know, the Cowboys' 6-0 start this year ranks among the best in the school's tradition-rich basketball history, but none have even come close to the 20 straight victories Oklahoma State reeled off to open the 91-92 season. It was Eddie's second at the helm. That team, which we'll feature this week, finished 28-8, advanced to the Sweet 16 for the second year in a row. The Cowboys have earned postseason bids in 8 of the previous 9 years, have posted 20 or more wins 7 times since Eddie Sutton returned to his alma mater, and every win brings you that much closer to an invitation to the NCAA's Big Dance, a dance we've all become accustomed to attending since 90-91.
Looking back on the memory of the dance we shared beneath the stars above. For a moment, all the world was right. How could I have known that you'd ever say goodbye? And now I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance. Holding you, I held everything. For a moment, wasn't I a king? But if I'd only known how the king would fall. Hey, who's to say? You know, I might have changed it all. And I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance. It's my life, it's better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance.
That brings back a lot of wonderful memories. You know, that was a great ball club, and they got beat by Michigan, and that team was coached by Steve Fisher, the coach of the San Diego State Aztecs, who we're going to be playing Sunday afternoon. But that ball club, you know, was good enough to win a national title, and of course Michigan edged us out in the Sweet 16. But when I look at that film, I look at Sean, he's coaching now. Corey's over helping Scott at ORU coaching. All those guys have gone on to do quite well, and the country looked like a little baby there with that baby face and everything. And Russ Pennell, of course, is an assistant coach with Rob Evans down at Arizona State. But those guys really set the stage for the great tradition that we rekindled. You know, OSU had only been to one NCAA tournament from 1965 until these guys got it started again in 1991. And of course, since then, we've got that spirit going again, that tradition going strong here at OSU, but marvelous group of young men.
It was good to see it. Tough to watch that game get that close with Michigan that night.
Yeah, and Michigan went on to do quite well.
Yeah, no question. We talked about Brian Montonati. Well, he's one of the guys continuing with that tradition, and Brian will be with us here when we return to the Eddie Sutton Show. Welcome back to the show. You saw a couple of Brian Montonati's buckets against Texas San Antonio. B, a career high for you, 22 points. And I know our fans are probably getting tired of our post-game comments each and every time we have an interview, but it's just a matter of feeling confident in what you're doing.
Yeah, you know, this last couple weeks I've been playing pretty well, and, you know, it's just me finding my role, and my teammates are, you know, doing a great job of getting me the ball when I'm running the floor, and that's all I got to keep doing is just, you know, doing the little things.
I think one thing that's allowed him to really develop as a basketball player, you know, this is his third year here, is his dedication. And I think this is a great lesson for any young player that might be watching, that if you work hard, you're going to get better. And I think Brian has really been a player that has done this. And of course, as you gain success, you gain confidence. And I think right now he's really playing with a lot of confidence at the offensive end.
Brian, we make so much of the role that everybody has to play in this system. I mean, it's not rocket science, but the system is the reason it's successful. How difficult was it for you to find that niche and stay there?
Well, at first, you know, I kind of struggled a little bit because I was always, you know, the top scorer on the team and everything, but I guess you just got to, you know, check your ego at the door if you want to be successful. And I have did that, you know, and you just kept working hard and stayed patient, and it's all starting to pay off. You
know, Brian is majoring in education, and is going to be a coach and a teacher, and he's going to be outstanding. I've talked to some of these professors, and they think he's really going to be good. And I've seen him work at our camp and work with youngsters, and I echo that. I think that he's the type of young man that will be a great teacher, great coach, and I just hope he continues these double-doubles. I kind of like him.
Well, what about you? I mean, you came in not expecting to do this. I mean, nobody expects to have 4 double-doubles in the first 6 outings. You'll take it, no question about it. But we joke about it all the time. You're in a position of being double figures scoring-wise every game with what you can do, and you stay active under the boards. Why can't that happen more times than not?
I think you're right. You know, I think I should be around, you know, flirting with the double-double every game. You know, I know if I don't get over 5 or 6 defensive rebounds, I won't be playing that much. So, and the offensive rebounds is where, you know, I kind of, you know, tend to go a little bit harder sometimes. And coach has been getting on to me about, you know, going hard to the defensive glass too. So in free throw shooting, you know, that's something I've been, you know, pretty well in, and you know, I've been working on my jump shot, and things are I'm having a tendency to play pretty well.
Do you understand his substitution?
You know, the one thing I was going to say that
tell me about that.
He made that. You know, that bench is a great motivator. And when he knows that Frederick is over there and Jason's over there and Andre's over there, I think that is motivation enough to keep him playing like he's been playing.
Do you see the leadership on the court? I know the answer to the question, that's why I asked. But obviously, every day, even in practice, the leadership is there.
I agree. Yeah, it is.
He comes out and shows the younger guys how to get it done. And that's something young guys, Andre, Keep, they have to understand. You don't get better just in a game.
No, he's a good role model for those young players.
Okay, what about finals? You glad they were over?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I just finished my last 2 finals today. I'm happy.
What does that take out of a player? We were talking about it in the Open just a while ago. I mean, it's tough to keep your mind solely on basketball when you got to worry about these finals all week.
Right, you know, we've been up, you know, I was up the other day studying for my stat test till like 2 in the morning, and, you know, it's kind of stressful, but it'll all be rewarded in the end.
And that's probably the reason that the white team had such success this afternoon against the starters.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for coming down. We appreciate you coming here, joining us on the show. We'll be back to wrap it all up after this final timeout.
This week's question from oakstate.com is brought to you by Southwestern Bell. If you have a question for Coach Eddie Sutton, log on to OSU's official athletic website at www.oakstate.com to participate in the Southwestern Bell Ask Coach Sutton contest.
Well, there's our question of the week. Interesting one at that.
Paul, they changed that rule back to the way it was, so on a jump ball situation now it's alternating, and you can look over at the arrow on the scoreboard there and see whose possession it belongs to.
It's time for your favorite part of the show, the Reporter's Notebook. We're going to cover some items this week that perhaps have a little bit more relevance, because when it comes up, we're going to start with tea time, our first item, and I'm not talking about golf at Karsten.
Well, I've not gotten very many technical fouls since I came to Oklahoma State, but I did get one the other night, and I deserved it. I got out of the coach's box, and I made a comment, not a profane word or anything, but to the official, because I was trying to get time out.
He wouldn't give you time out.
He wouldn't give me time out, and it used to be only players could call time out. Coaches can call time out. He didn't hear me, and I said something like, maybe you need a hearing aid, and that'll get you a technical foul.
I can't understand you saying something like that. Okay, let's look at the second item. Oklahoma City bound. We'll talk about San Diego State here in a second, but the Cowboy fans in and around Central Oklahoma have a chance to watch them play.
Sunday afternoon, the girls, our women's team tips it off at 1 o'clock. We'll play San Diego State at 3:30. I hope anyone in the Oklahoma City area or Western Oklahoma get out there and see the Cowboys. We need their support.
How about a general comment now on our signing early on? Good candidates for keeping this tradition going.
We're losing a lot of quality players, but we were very fortunate in the early signing period to sign some really good basketball players. Bernard Kidd out of Dallas, Texas, Ivan McFarland out of Houston, David Anderson out of a prep school in the East. And of course, the 2 best players in the state, Terrence Crawford from McGinnis and Jack Marlowe from Union. So we're really pleased. Now, we still have to go out maybe in the spring and try to sign us another guard, but we got a good recruiting class, and nationally it was rated very high.
Quick word about San Diego State, a reunion with Steve Fisher.
Should be a good ball game. They've only played 3 games, and they're a young basketball team, but I watched film on them the other day, and they're very tough defensively, and it'll be a tough game.
Hey, call me next time and tell me we can wear sweats too, so I don't have to wear this tie. That's all the time we have for this week's show. Remember, the Cowboys in action Sunday afternoon, 3:30 against San Diego State. For Eddie Sutton, our entire crew here at Educational Television Services, Tom Dirato. Goodbye, everybody.
The Eddie Sutton Show.